once again, what we are talking about is the OKR system for massive goal achievement, because here at Fuel the Fire, that's what we are all about. But let me start by telling you OKRs stands for objectives and key results. And really what this comes down to is it's a simple system to help you set up stretch goals and create a measurable framework for how you're going to achieve them. Mixed with, so this OKRs mixed with accountability, as I said earlier today, is really that 1-2 punch that's going to take your organization or your business to the next level. Okay, so as much as I would like to say that I'm the one who invented OKRs, I cannot. But let me tell you just a brief background on it. OKRs were derived from a gentleman named Andy Grove, who was a CEO at Intel. Right underneath him was a gentleman named John Doerr, who you may have heard of. So he was his understudy, and John Doerr has gone on to take OKRs and refine them and bring them to all kinds of organizations, such as the ones that you see right here. Another little tidbit about John is that one of his first investments that really paid off was with that little company that you see in the left, Google. So he went and met with Larry and Sergey and brought the system to him. And as we know, fast forward, it really made a profound difference. If you think of Netflix, Netflix also uses it. They started, if you are old enough to remember when you would get a movie in your mailbox, that is how Netflix started. And now look where they are. Same with Amazon. They started with books. And now using the OKR system, they are taking over the entire world. So why are OKRs your superpower for your organization? One, it creates clarity. Also, it creates focus, and it can lead to massive accomplishments when done consistently. Also with OKRs, as I mentioned earlier, you have OKRs, you have the accountability, and you have the coaching. That's your triple threat in your pocket. That's your toolbox. But really what it does is it helps you execute on your goals a lot faster, because people know what your objective is that you're trying to accomplish. So your team members, they're super clear on it. There's less confusion, so there's less time wasted, and everyone's on the same page. Third is that you are focusing, you can focus as a business owner. Let's talk about how we get distracted by shiny objects, by putting out fires, by going after all kinds of different things. However, when you have the OKR system in place, you are able to focus on the things that matter most and will be the instruments that you need to move forward. And then for all of you, I know we have quite a few accountants and math people in our organization, but also we use a measurable and quantifiable system in the OKRs so that you can see where you are. There are really two different breakdowns of the objectives when you set up your OKRs. One is the aspirational. These are known as your stretch goals or your moonshots. And where moonshots came from, if you guys don't know, is think of JFK. He wanted to put a man on the moon. He did not have any clue how he was going to do that, yet he did it. Same with, think of Bill Gates. His goal, his big aspirational goal was to put a computer on every desk. He's done pretty darn well. Elon Musk, self-driving cars, that's already happened. So those are the kinds of moonshots. There is a balance though between unattainable and stretch. So just kind of keep that in mind. You have to use your own, you have to decide what works best for you. Some of the benefits, these are just a few of the benefits to aspirational goals, is one, when you have big, exciting goals in your corporation or your company or your nonprofit or your organization, you are going to attract the best of the best. People want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. Think of all these startups in Silicon Valley. They get the best out of college because they are doing something exciting. That's what aspirational goals, aspirational objectives do for your organization. Also, because of that, you are going to advance your company way farther, way quicker, because you're going to have everyone focused on these goals. Also, the other great part of it is when you have aspirational goals, just like we just talked about with putting a man on the moon. JFK had no idea how he was going to do that. Bill Gates, when he started, he wasn't quite sure. He didn't have the game plan for how he was going to put a computer on everyone's desk. But when you have people behind you, creativity comes in and you start thinking of things differently. So those are a few of the benefits. For committed objectives, every organization is going to have committed objectives. Think of the COVID vaccine. That was something that had to happen, and they did it in 12 months. So they got the whole world involved, and they were able to do that. So a committed objective is a thing that has to happen. Think of maybe your business needs to bring in more revenue, or you're going to be hurting. So that could be one of your committed objectives. So how that would look is saying something such as, by May 31st, we are going to have a new revenue stream in place that is going to bring in $100,000 to our company this year. So that's an example. Let's say you have a problem with customer service. You have people that are going on Yelp and saying that they aren't happy with your organization. So one of your committed objectives could be that you are going to have an average customer satisfaction level of 95% or higher. You make sure that your whole team and yourself, and you bring in extra efforts and resources, are working towards that because it's so important. So here's where I'm going to also define key results. We haven't talked about key results too much, so I am going to go into those right now. But for objectives, you want to have no more than 3 to 5 at a time. I was listening to a whole presentation by Google on this, on objectives and key results. And the gentleman who was presenting said at one point he had 7, and he said it was just way too overwhelming, even though he has the best of the best behind him. So limit it to 3 to 5 for all of you overachievers out there. Okay, and then for key results, let me define what key results are. Key results are the steps you'll take that have a measurable outcome to get you to your objective. So basically, it's the blueprint to get you to your objective. One other thing I want to talk about right now, I'm going to go into a little bit more about the key results, but I need to mention this, is that with your objectives, you want to have your long-term objectives and then also your quarterly objectives. So putting a man on the moon obviously could not be done in 90 days. So that was JFK's big fat objective. However, he had to have smaller objectives in order to reach that. So that is how I want you to start thinking about setting up your processes for this. So getting back to key results. So you want to have 3 to 5 per objective. Make sure they are absolutely crystal clear and measurable, meaning that when you set them, and I'm going to give you examples of this, that whoever is on your team, whoever is looking at it, even if they don't even know who you are, they can read it. So it's written at a 5th grade level. And then, of course, you want to describe outcomes, not activities. That's important because it's really easy to get stuck writing the activities, which is not how you want to set these up. So let me give you some examples of writing the right type of key objective. So one of them might be publish a customer satisfaction report by April 30th. Another one could be land 5 podcasts by May 1st. And a third example, create new system action plan for onboarding clients by May 31st. So when you see all of those, we have a date and we have the exact measurement. So, land 5 podcasts, publish 1 customer satisfaction report. So you know if you accomplished it or not. The other part, so activities, let me give you some examples so you don't get caught in this trap. If you are using words such as help, analyze, participate, or research, those are activities. You don't want to use that in your languaging for your key result, although that may be part of your key result. Don't use it in your languaging. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so here is how we measure. And one thing I want to talk about before we go too far is that what I mentioned this morning in our opening meeting is keep it simple. This is something really that Erin and I are going to talk about quite a bit, is with everything that we're about, the simpler you can keep things, the more organized you're going to be, the more you're going to stick with it, and the more it's going to get done. So with measuring OKRs, I'm going to teach you the system to measure them, but don't get too caught up in the numbers. Get caught up in taking the action to complete your KRs. So basically, when you're scaling, when you are recording your measurements, we use a percentage system. So 0 to 100%. You want to grade your OKRs quarterly and annually and be super transparent with it. You want everyone to be able to see them. So I'm going to break it down between objectives and key results because it's a little bit different how you do this. So for objectives, your target is 60 to 70% overall. If you are trying to put a man on the moon, first quarter, you are probably not going to make 60 to 70%. So remember, keep that in mind. But also, if you have 80 to 100%, chances are it was too easy. It wasn't stretchy enough. When it's not stretchy enough, creativity doesn't come into play and you're not as motivated. You aren't as motivated and neither is your team. That's why you want to have those stretch goals. These are not just things I pulled out of my hat. These are actually proven to be what helps people to get to their goals. And then if you have a lower turnout rate, so if you're 0 to 50%, it's okay, but you need to go in and examine what didn't work, why, and what are you going to do to change it? Do you get rid of it or do you need to alter it? So, going into your key results, how to measure your key results, you want to be looking at your key results constantly, a minimum of 3 times per quarter. I'm going to suggest, since you are in accountability group, look at them weekly. So you're staying very, very crystal clear. You want to strive for 80 to 100% with each KR. And at the end, you want to determine what failed and what won. And then the way that you figure out your objectives, your objective measurement, super, super easy. You just take the average of your KRs. At the end of the quarter, so the last 2 weeks of the quarter, Erin and I will be suggesting that you go in and you do an overall review of where you are as far as your objectives and your key results and figure out what needs to be tweaked, what you can double down on, and what you are going to do for the next quarter. Okay, so these are some things to avoid. The first one is miscommunicating your stretch goals. Make sure, like I said, it's at a fifth grade level. Anyone can read it and understand it no matter what department they are in. The next one is business as usual OKRs. You don't want to do that because what that means is that you are staying status quo. You're not going after creativity and innovation. And innovation is what will take your company to the moon. So this little comment here, this little quote that we all have heard is so imperative right here. Want different results? Stop doing the same thing. That is what this is all about. The next one, sandbagging. This is if you do have a team. Some of you are just starting out. Some of you are solopreneurs on purpose, which is great. But if you do have a team, what you want to pay attention to is if you have a team of 10, and 6 of those 10 people are working on the OKRs, that's cause for alarm because that means that they're not completely focused on it. So you want to go in and either have the leader or yourself go in and just check on what's going on. The fourth one over, low value objectives. The whole reason why we're here and the whole reason why you set up OKRs is because you want to have something new. You want to take your company to the next level. So low value objectives do not motivate or inspire your team or yourself. So always be thinking, what can I set to make a massive difference in my company? Get creative. You may not know the answer right then, but through your group, through the whole system that we have at Fuel the Fire, through other people that you know, talk with them, talk with your team, and really brainstorm and have fun with this and think of big objectives. And then the last one is pretty self explanatory, but insufficient KRs and objectives. Take time on these. Make sure they're clear. Make sure you have all the KRs that you need and that they're well defined so you don't waste any time. So here is, Erin and I are going to be very transparent with you guys and show you, pull back the curtain so you guys can see what we have going on. But these are what we have right now for some of our OKRs. The first one is our aspirational objective. And this is create the most effective and successful goal-centric company for business leaders in the Western world by 12/31/22. Yes, that is very big. There are other companies doing what we're doing that are huge, and they've been around a lot longer for us, and we don't know exactly how we're going to reach this goal, but I'm going to tell you, we are going to do it. So that is our big objective. One thing that I did not mention earlier that is key, and write this down. You want to have your objectives in alignment with your company's mission. So, the mission that we have here at Fuel the Fire is to create a global organization that empowers professionals to achieve and amplify goals, creating a massive positive impact. So, that's how you can see these objectives are in alignment with it. So, when we are creating our objectives, we are always looking at our mission statement first and what our core values are so that everything is always in alignment. All right, so let's go down to the KRs for the aspirational. I'm not going to read all of these, but I'm just going to go through them pretty quickly so you can see. So the first one, 75% of goal achievement each quarter per our pre and post survey. So you guys all received a link for the survey. We would really, really appreciate if you can take that. So we know if we are on target or not. Are we helping you reach your big goals? Are you happy with the organization? Are you moving forward? Did you get what you needed? That's what we're paying attention to. The third one down, we've joined forces with 20 prestigious and influential impact partners. That's how we plan to grow substantially and take big fat leaps rather than just taking micro leaps. Okay, now coming down to our committed objective. This is something that has to happen. Our members love our program and they keep coming back for more and they tell their friends. So we have a certain amount of retention that we want heading into Q3 and Q4. And that's what this all talks about. And then you'll see over on the right who's accountable for it. So when you're doing this, you only see Erin and my name on here, but when you're going through this, try to delegate. Who can you delegate some of this to? Who can you bring in to make it even more impactful and be more creative? So that's kind of what we have going on. You guys just saw it. One other thing I'm going to mention, because I can already see Erin pacing, that I have not mentioned this. This framework that we have right here, this template, you guys have access to in the back end of Fuel the Fire. We have the sample that you see right here, but also you have a blank one. So you guys can go in and make a copy of it and use it yourself. But please make a copy of it so you are not changing and letting everyone in the whole world see what your objectives and key results are. Although we would all love to see them, but if you could just make a copy, that would be fantastic. So the final takeaways that I all want you to have is make sure your OKRs are out where you can see it. I was listening to a podcast with John Doerr, and he talked about how he went into an organization, it was a company that was just launching, and they had asked him to come in because they wanted to have him as a venture capitalist for the organization. They were in a gritty area of town. Their building was really, really kind of, it was not nice because they were just launching. But John went into the restroom and he noticed on their mirror, they had a list. that looked very much like OKRs. They didn't know the system for OKRs, but they had their big goal at the top and how they were going to get there. And the way they structured it was very similar to OKRs. And he did come in and invest in their company. So that's why I want to make sure you guys have these out. Make sure it aligns with your mission, as I just mentioned. Transparency is key. Make sure everyone on your team knows this. At Google, they meet every year, actually every quarter and every year, and they talk about what their big goals are for the coming 12 months and for the quarter. Continue to refine. If you guys are just starting to use OKRs, which most of you are, I suggest using it just by yourself. Don't bring it into your organization yet. Refine, refine, refine. Learn how to do it for yourself and then go introduce it to your organization. And then, as I have been mentioning a number of times, use the KISS method. Don't get too caught up in the specifics of it. Just know that you want to set your big objective, do your key results, and refine it from there.